Now we will perform. Now let us perform the basic dynamic analysis on the malware that we have used for this assignment. Basically, basic dynamic analysis is usually performed after static analysis has reached a dead end, and also it also allows you to observe the malware's true functionality. Let us now take a look at let us begin with the first basic dynamic analysis using Redshot. Redshot is an open source registry comparison tool. It compares two registry snapshots and reports on the differences. So I open up the tool, I take the first shot before I run the malware. Then I run the malware. There seems to be some problem, but we ignore it. Then I will take the second shot, and we will now compare what are the registry's result that the malware, what are the changes in the registry that the malware does. Okay, from here we can see that there is a total of 15 changes that the malware has made to the registry. The change which I'm going to highlight for this would be the registry values modified by the malware. The malware has the registry value that's modified would be the cryptography random number generated seed. Basically, the random number generated seed is very useful in the area of computer security, as it is a random number generated in sequence and the number does not repeat itself so as to contact the attacker to take control of the victim system, as the malware creates a backdoor for the attacker to access the victim system. At the same time, the malware has also added a new registry key called MUICACHE in the C drive of the system. MUICache is a registry key that the Windows OS, which is the operating system, extract the application name from the version resource of the executable file and stores it for a later use. From the result, I infer that this is a registry key that the attacker creates so as to extract the version resource of the executable files found on the victim system and stores it for his later use when he wants to attack the victim system. Besides using Redshot for dynamic analysis, we can also use other tools that are available for basic dynamic analysis. The next tool which I'm going to use to analyze this malware is called Process Monitor. Process Monitor combines the functionality of two legacy tools which are FileMon and RegMon. So I will open the process monitor and I will reset all the settings and I will click OK. After clicking OK, I will need to run the unpack malware. Let us wait for a while to allow the malware to review its functionalities, such as the processes used and the files created when executed. To filter out the process name, which is the name of the malware file, we have to use the filter option as using Process Monitor can have up to 50,000 calls per minute. we enable the filter. We look for process name is, the name of the malware file is malware.pb.1.exe, and we add to the process column, and we click OK. Okay, from here we can see that the malware creates two files. The first file is a file with the name unicode.nls. Unicode.nls is a file that stores associated programs for the computer system to function properly. In this instance, once the victim has executed this malware, I infer that the malware attacker will create a backdoor to access the victim system, and at the same time create the file with the same name, but inside the file would contain application related programs that would cause the computer system to not function properly. Another file which is being created another function that is being created by this malware is known as the local.nls. Local.nls is a unique identifier that contains international standard of numeric abbreviation that is used to identify the OS, which is the operating system used on the system. In this case, the malware has created the file with the same name so as to allow the malware attacker to create a backdoor so that the attacker can configure or change the operating system of the victim system as and when possible without the victim's knowledge. Let us now look at some of the processes created by the malware. Okay, from here I can see that one of the processes created by the malware would be winlogon. Winlogon is a process in the operating system that is responsible for storing credentials. These credentials are particularly user credentials such as the username and password to log into a particular computer user account. What would the malware do is the malware attacker would make use of this function to create a backdoor in the victim system so as to steal the user credentials and password and access the victim system without the knowledge of the victim. And after accessing the malware attacker may change the password without the knowledge of the victim. The next process that I'm going to talk about is the image execution file. The image execution file is a registry key that specifies an application. Malware attackers now would exploit this function would exploit the image execution file function as it allows them to create malicious files or links via these two methods. Number one, the malware would make use of a backdoor to create suspicious files on the victim system without letting the victim suspect, and at the same time the victim can still, while the victim open up any legitimate application on his system. And second, the malware attacker would make use of this function also to divert any security product processes to be a malicious process, meaning to say that a security scan on the system could actually be a malware infection to the victim's system. Another process that has been created by the malware would be the disabling of meta files. Meta files are usually files that store information about a file, such as when was it created, when was it deleted, the revision history of the file, and any deleted comments. Meaning, in the analysis, I infer that the victim had actually enabled his metafile system to allow the malware to infect his or her system. This is because the victim could probably went to a legitimate website to download a file, and this file in fact was a malware, which he was unaware about it. And when he realized that when the victim realized that the malware was downloaded, it had created a backdoor, and the attacker at the same time had the chance to disable the meta files on on the victim system. Besides Red Shot and Process Monitor, I'm going to introduce to you I'm going to use another tool which is Process Explorer, which provides insights to running processes of the malware. So what we do now is we open up the Process Explorer file. Next, we need to run the malware to see if there are any files or processes being created through the Process Explorer. Unfortunately, from what I can observe in the Process Explorer, from what I can see in the Process Explorer, I am unable to see what are the active processes that the malware has, and I'm unable to see what any files have been created, deleted, or modified by the malware. Hence, to confirm that if a file had been deleted, created, or modified, I had to use Process Monitor to confirm if there were changes on the file or files made on the victim system. Next, we are going to see if the malware attempts to connect to a website. So I will use this tool called APAT DNS, which is a free tool from Mandiant, as it is able to list the DNS requests made by the malware, and at the same time it can also create a fake network so that the malware is unaware that it is running in a virtualized environment. So I'll open up the APAT DNS. I will open up the APAT DNS, then I have to run the malware. Then I would have to specify the DNS reply IP. In this case, I would make use of the localhost IP address, which is 127.0.0.1 to be the DNS reply IP, and I will start the server. From what is being shown here, the malware does not attempt to connect to a domain URL, as there is no URL address of a particular website is found under the domain requested column. Next, we are going to use netcat to see if the malware listens to any port on the So I will run the malware first. Next, launching the command prompt, I have to type cd twice, and I need to type netcat -l-p 80 indicating that it is a HTTP file. However, I am unable to see that we are unable to see that the netcat is trying to connect to a port. We type cd twice and netcat -l-p space 80. We can see that the netcat has not connected to a HTTP. Using the same command, netcat hyphen L hyphen P hyphen